we were to pray at 4:30 sharp a.m. every day. So I'm sitting there thinking right away, crazy, people are gonna be tired. I gotta go to work, But that was the most refreshing, amazing experience that I shared with my family ever. And I was so thankful to God that I was just obedient to, what He had given to my aunt. And yeah, we just after the time frame that He gave her, we actually continued it. We were like, oh, we need this, and so we kept going with it. But it was just like, yeah, refreshing. When I thought in my head, I was gonna be pooped all day, I was just, yeah, it was awesome.
Well, oh yeah, sorry.
I was gonna say, like, when I guess when we realized, like, the so much time that we spend with watching movies or something like that.
Sporting events.
Exactly. And when we just take those moments, like what you said, and then we realize how refreshing it is.
Yeah.
And we start to realize, well, my schedule for all those sporting events or movies, this is more important.
Right.
So I would push that more, shrink that to enlarge this area in God. Because
I cut out most movies and stuff all together just because I don't know, I have to go to school and it's not a Christian school and I have to go to work and it's not a Christian work, so it's I need to focus as much time when I'm
Then you have left over.
Yeah.
Right.
See, and what's happening is that bringing it back to this idea is that people really are giving God just such a small amount of time. They just want, okay, I'll give God an hour on Sunday morning, and I just want the message to be 20 minutes, and I just want this, and then people are not really spending as much time reading their Bible as they are watching TV, and they're not really students of the Word, and so that's reflected in what people really know and understand about God, and it's a sad picture. So here's something else Barnes said about Christians. He said, although the typical believer contends that the Bible is accurate in what it teaches, he or she spends less time reading the Bible in a year than watching television, listening to music, reading other books and publications, or conversing about personal hobbies and leisure interests. When asked what constitutes success in life, few believers define success in spiritual terms. Most describe outcomes related to professional achievement, family solidarity, physical accomplishments, or resource acquisition. And so it's kind of this idea that, what makes you successful? Most people don't say, if any man boast, let him boast in the Lord. So I'm going to boast about my relationship with Jesus Christ. People don't think that way. They talk about where they live, they talk about what kind of car they drive, they talk about what kind of job they have, they talk about where their kids go to school, what they've done. And so even Christians are measuring their success the way the world measures it, and not in terms of who they are in Christ. And so that's an identity issue. When given the opportunity to state how they want to be known by others, fewer than 1 out of 10 believers mention descriptions that reflect their relationship with God. Finances. This is kind of an interesting thing. Church Christians give away an average of about 3% of their income in a typical year and feel pleased at their sacrificial generosity. And so, people don't tithe. People don't tithe. People don't give half of the tithe. People on average give 1/3 of the tithe. That's the average Christian giving. Fewer than 1 out of every 10 church Christian donates at least 10% of their income to churches or other nonprofit organizations. So how many people do tithe? 1 out of 10. That's how many people actually do.
1 out of 10. Really?
1 out of 10 Christians actually tithe. Right. Okay. Most believers are unable to identify anything specific they have ever donated money to that they would describe as producing life-changing outcomes. So that's a good sales pitch for YWAM newsletters. Talk about life-changing outcomes. Okay. Servanthood. In a typical week, only 1 out of every 4 believers will allocate some time to serving other people. Most of that time is dedicated to volunteering in church programs that serve congregants, and little effort is invested in serving needy people outside the congregation. So here's the thing with this. 3 out of 4 Christians don't do any volunteer work at all. When you take the 1 out of 4 over that do, most of them are helping at church, helping with Sunday school or childcare or something like that. So you say how many Christians are actually serving other people in the community? It's a really small percentage. The typical believer would rather give money to an organization to allow it to do good deeds in society than personally assist in alleviating the needs of the disadvantaged people. So people will say, I'll give money, but I'm not willing to do anything myself. Yeah, Gerald.
That's just like, me and Evan had talked about this last week. This summer when we was doing the outreach, there was people that were coming up asking, can we get money? Can you give us, some money to do this?
Oh yeah.
Personally, me, I'm not gonna just be like, here goes some money, so you can, I can smell the alcohol on your breath.
Yeah.
Give you, another $5. You're gonna run up to the liquor store right up the street.
Right.
I'll take you to go get something to eat.
Right.
You need a ride somewhere? I'll give you a ride,
Yeah.
but I'm not just gonna be like,
Yeah.
oh, here, it's,
Yeah.
and to me, just like, I've said about, being a parent to your kid, it's about the time you spend. It's about what you do, not how much you spend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'll give you the ride. I need to go to Apple Valley, but you need to go to Brooklyn Center. All right, I'll take you to Brooklyn Center, then I, get to where I got to get to, you know? Or I'll take you to go get something to eat. I'm not just going to give you the money to go do it yourself, you know?
But see, the problem is a lot of people would just prefer to write a check. Now, there's this old school guy that I listen to his Christian music. His name is Keith Green. He died a long time ago, but he had this album, where kind of in between his songs he would do like a little preaching, So he says, on one of his albums he was saying, it's so easy to write a check, it's so easy, but God can't cash out-of-state checks in heaven. He doesn't. Yeah. He said he doesn't need your money, he wants you, And so then the song goes in, open your eyes to the world all around you, open your eyes. And it was really a powerful song. But the point is like, God does need us. I mean, it really is about giving our lives and not just, and we encounter this a lot of times with young people when we talk about their career and their calling and really discovering what their purpose in life is. So many times you just hear kids say, I want to make a lot of money and I'll support missionaries with that, but I want to make a lot of money. That's my goal, and I'll give a lot of it away, And I'm like, you guys, come on, that's not what it's all about. Okay, yeah, Ron.
One of the things that I feel is really, really important, and people are asking, why do we start with 100 kids in kindergarten and end up with 2 in the senior high youth program? What's that about? Why does that happen? And one of the things is that so often we just babysit them in class. We want to keep them safe, as opposed to turning them into warriors for the gospel.
Yeah.
And in the process of that, what happens is they miss the servanthood piece. But it's more than just servanthood, it's servanthood with new life coming out of there. Yeah. And later on today, we're going to talk about an opportunity that we'll have. There's going to be 2 opportunities that YWAM wants to provide for you in giving your youth an opportunity to serve. And we'll talk about that and how they can become part of the life-giving source. And once your kids, I say it this way, life begets life.
Yes.
So until they lead somebody to Christ, then they're still searching. But once they start leading somebody to Christ, then they're hungry. Just ask a mother with a new baby.
Yeah.
You want to see my baby? Just ask them mother. Yeah. And watch what happens when your kids start leading people to Christ.
Okay, fewer than 1 out of every 6 church believers has a relationship with another believer through which accountability is provided. So when we were asking that question about do people have accountability, do they have somebody that can correct them when they're doing something wrong and talk to them about things that need to change? Even Christians don't have this. Yeah. Most Christians don't have it. Only 1 out of every 6 has somebody that can provide some accountability for them. And then the most significant influence on the choices of church believers is neither teachings from the pulpit nor advice gleaned from fellow people in the church, but is messages absorbed from the media, from law, and from family members. And so you're realizing that movies, music, and TV have a way more powerful influence on our young people